Hi there, and welcome to Thursdays with Annette. I'm back in the kitchen and I'm glad you're joining me today because we're doing a good old hearty winter favourite. It's my simple beef casserole. It's out of book 5, fabulous book, and there is the recipe. So we're going to make that today on the show. So get ready for just an easy, great home style recipe. But before we get into it, let's talk about last week's show. The winners from the Rich Chocolate Squares were Belinda Bryan, Diane Downton, and Trudy Ackman. Now, they all got a personally signed copy of their book. Now, you might have remembered on the show last week, I mentioned the Wicked Chocolate Cake because that was one of our favourites in the house until the Rich Chocolate Squares was invented. Now, Lynn Charlton is on my mentoring program, and she actually told me that she was able to get a perfect dish or a cake tin to make the Wicked Chocolate Cake in. It's this. So I thought I'd show it to you because it's on sale in Spotlight right now for $6. And what I love about it, it goes in the microwave. It's silicone. It goes in the microwave, which is a great way to cook this recipe, or you can do it in the oven. And it's the perfect size because a lot of bundt tins can be quite big, and this is only a small cake. So just thought I'd let you know, heads up, get to Spotlight and get your Wicked Chocolate Cake pan. Perfect. All right, so now let's just imagine, okay, what I've done before we came on air is I've actually cooked in the oven, my preheated oven, 180 degrees, my casserole, so I can finish it off for you. So it's been in for 1 hour 15, and I'm going to get it out now, put the last stage in, so let's show you, because then we'll have a finished product at the end. And you know I like to show you the end. So let me get my dish out, my big casserole out. Here we go. So this is, you know, what I did before. Let me just shut the oven. Now, as I said, it's been in for 1 hour 15, and we'll go through the whole recipe in a minute. Oh wow, look at this. Oh, it's bubbling away. It's so beautiful. The smells are divine. But what you do at the after 1 hour 15 is you get a 1/4 cup of water and how many is it? 3 tablespoons, sorry, I was going to say 4. 3 tablespoons of the Gravox Light Supreme. And we're going to mix that together. And this goes in at this point. And see, what will happen is it's going to take another 15 minutes for this to cook. And so I want to be able to show you at the end. So just move that around. In it goes. Let's get my scraper. So just remember, this is at the end of the recipe, okay? We're flashing ahead in time because we don't have 1 hour and 15 to wait, do we? So then mix it in. And what this does, it gives it that beautiful little thickening that you want a little bit of with a casserole. Well, look at that. And really, you basically cook this until you've got your vegetables cooked to your liking. So it depends how hard you want them. So now this is very hot, so I'm going to get my little tea towel. On it goes, and it's going to go back in the oven now for 15 minutes. Now remember, it's 180 degrees fan-forced oven, and we are now at that last stage. And you'll check that in 15. Let me put a timer on. And if it's still, maybe the vegetables are a little bit still hard, they should be fine, but just in case, all you've got to do is just cook it a little longer. Give it a good stir and then you can check. All right, so now we're ready to cook. So let's look at the ingredients first. I've got my big casserole dish here. Actually, I'll put that over here. And the key is you need to make sure it's a 10 cup, okay? And we'll talk about that, how you do that in a minute. I've got some blade steak. You want 750 grams of blade steak. Let me turn my cooktop on because I'm going to cook that up first. We need a large onion, carrots, 1/4 cup of flour, celery, swede, parsnip. Now, if you're really not fans of these, you could always do celeriac or just add more carrots and celery if you want. That's fine, but I think it's really lovely. It's a winter stewy dish. You want garlic, you want the Marcel beef stock powder, you've got some Worcestershire sauce, some dried bay leaves, We've got some a canned tomato chopped and no added salt. We're also going to use rosemary and thyme dried, as well as this tomato chutney, which I get in the supermarket. A bit of pepper, and we also have 2 cups of water. So let's get started. Thanks for joining me. If you're just tuning in, hello, we're making simple beef casserole from book 5. My ring's getting caught. So I'm just going to put my gloves on to just chop the meat up, because you then also coat it in the flour. So there's a 1/4 cup of plain flour. Now I did actually, because of time, I've actually chopped up most of the meat, but let's just do this piece here, because I want to show you, you want it in reasonable good sized chunks. You don't want to do small dice. There we go. And just make sure it's the lean, because that's one of the things that makes this recipe so much better than the old style of casserole making, because I think if you remember, mums used to buy the cheapest meat they could, but obviously sometimes the cheapest means it's also the fattiest. Okay, so now I've got 750 grams of the blade steak. We put in now the 1/4 cup of flour. And this is where you get in and coat it really well. And even actually the flour in this will also help thicken up the stew a bit, or casserole I should say. So get that flour in, and if you have a little bit left over, I just put it actually in the dish, because basically this casserole is chop it all up and literally you chuck it in the pot or the casserole dish and cook it. So I'm just going to spray my near-flamme pan. It's nice and hot. And what I'm going to do is bring it over, because I want this hot. I really want to brown this meat off. You don't have to cook it. All we're doing is browning it off. And you can see I'm using one of my near-flamme pans that I now sell on the website. Yes, due to popular demand, everyone wanted to cook with me with these pans that are so fabulous. And so see, there's that little bit of flour. So I'm going to now just put that, I've got my casserole here. I'm going to put that lid just there, move that to the side, and here is my casserole dish. And I'm just going to pop that flour in, and we don't need this anymore, or my gloves. So in the bin. Now we need to then start chopping. And I don't mind giving this another little coat as well when I'm turning. And some of you have asked, what is the cooking spray I use in my near-flamme? Because you want the good quality stuff, this is the Rice Bran oil spray. So that's what you're using, the Rice Bran oil spray. Thank you. Okay, let's get chopping. So we want 1.5 cups of carrots. Gosh, it cooks quick. Let me get my little, turn them over. And while we're chopping, this is what I do. I tend to like to do several things at once because I'm a quick cook. There we go. And we're going to do, let me get my cup measure. We want 1.5 cups of carrots. So just chop the ends off. And you want them to be sort of thicker chunks. You don't want it thin. So I tend to, because you want it in a casserole, it's nice to have those chunky vegetables. And that's why you take a bit of time cooking it. Now, as I said, we want 1.5 cups. Hello, if you've just joined me, I'm chopping up here because I'm making a simple beef casserole out of book 5. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to measure this at 1 cup. And everything I do, let me move that over, just leave it here, is just going in as we cook. But let's give this another little stir. Now you can actually do this, you don't have to do it with beef. You can do it with chicken. You can do it with lamb. I think it's lamb, yes. And for vegetarians, you're not missing out. You can do it with tofu. All right, so now back to the carrots. We want 1.5 cups. There we go. I'll just put that carrot aside and have it later. We now want to do a cup of celery. Let's just take that end off. And once again, reasonably good chunks. So it's a really hearty recipe, and with all those veggies, it's so healthy. I love it. I think it's just brings me back to my nan, you know, when she used to make them. Okay, in the pot it goes. There's another bit left over. And now we do the parsnip. I tend to not use a lot of this because this can be quite woody. So I don't need all of it for this recipe. Let me check my beef. Oh, get back in there. That's looking nice and brown now. I can turn that off, and I'm going to put that in the dish as well. So in it goes. So basically I'm just going to put this in the sink. We're basically just chucking everything in and cooking it in the oven. Now that's the thing. I did a search on it, a question I had. And it was, what's the difference between a casserole and a stew? And I thought, I have no idea. So I Googled it, and Mr. Google was very happy to tell me that there is a difference. I thought it was just, casserole was more of a younger name than in the old days. But what it is that a casserole goes in the oven. Hello, what are we doing? Yes, we've preheated our oven to 180 degrees and we are ready for the oven. So just dice the parsnip. And a stew is actually normally cooked on the stove. So if you had that question like I did, you now know. So we want 3/4 cup of parsnips. How are we going there? A couple more. And once again, into the casserole dish. Now, to know the right casserole dish, I always think it's a good idea to check before you start. Now, in the recipe I tell you, so this is the Swede I'm doing now, I tell you it's a 10-cup capacity casserole dish. So what you do, if you're not sure what you've got, is you'll get your measure, you know, your big measure cup, and measure 10 cups of water into the casserole dish. And that way you'll know, because if it overflows, then you know it's not big enough, because 10 cup, often there'll be 8 cup. So I just want you to check that. But that's how I check it. I find that's the best way to know. Otherwise, you know, it'll spill out everywhere and make a real mess in your oven. All right, so now we do Swede. I wouldn't do pumpkin as a replacement because it'd just mash up in the stew, in the casserole. So just a thought there. And now dice once again. So basically we're just dicing everything up. Dice the meat. Hello, if you've just joined me, what am I doing? I've got Swede here and I'm chopping up for the Simple Beef Casserole Book 5. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're doing okay. I know that we're going through difficult times right now, but you know what? We're going to be here for you every Tuesday and Thursday, so know we'll be here to support and maybe educate you while you're in lockdown. So there's my 3/4 cup of Swede. All right. And now we've just got to do the onion, and all our chopping's done. All right, so we want a large onion in slices. So I tend to cut it in quarters. Once again, don't do it really thin, just a little bit thicker. And what we then do, now we're at this stage, I'm going to throw in my onion. And I'm going to give it a good mix up. So we're done here with the chopping. So it's not a hard recipe at all. It just means you've got to just have a few ingredients, you know, and they're all about bang and flavour. Because to me, a casserole needs to be full of flavour. And I mean, in the olden days, casseroles were something you had every week, but it seems to me like we don't do it as much anymore. All right, so we've got it ready. Look how great that looks. What we're going to do next is we're going to now in the rest of the ingredients. So what do we need? Because we're putting garlic in, I love my garlic. Now you can do fresh if you want, up to you. I'm just doing it the easy way. We want 4 teaspoons of the beef stock powder. 1, 2, 3, oh that was a bit generous, 4, okay. We're going to put in 4 dried bay leaves. Now I'm going to put them in because they're all about building flavour, but when you actually finish cooking it, take them out. Don't put them in with anyone's dinner. They'll just go, what's this crunchy thing? It's not what it's meant to do. So okay, now we do 2, oh, let's take the lid off, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. This really kicks the flavour up. It goes beautiful with the beef, to be honest. 1. Remember you're using the 15ml tablespoon, which is my brand. That way you do it right. You don't use the 20ml. We're going to put in now 3/4 of a teaspoon of thyme. So you can see all these flavours mean that this is a beautiful, beautiful dish. And 3/4 teaspoon of dried rosemary. There we go. This isn't too hard, is it? We're then going to put in a can of the no added salt diced tomato. And what I do is we're going to put in some water as well, 2 cups of water. I like to get everything out of that can. So that's what I do with the 2 cups. Good job. And the last thing is this really great little ingredient that you might not have ever seen before, but it's tomato chutney, and we want 1/3 cup. And it just really kicks up the flavour. It's just, I don't know, I just thought it was really nice in the dish. So, as you can see, lots of great flavours. Oh yeah. And you can see it really is about just chuck it all in and you're ready to go. So, let's mix it all up. And I did this before we started, you know, an hour or so ago. I got another one in the oven. So, but give it a good mix so that everything's combined. Look at all those colours, and it's just a wintry delight. And I think it's just one that your family's going to really enjoy. So there we go. Now we're going to put our lid on. And this would then go in the oven. Okay, so I'm just going to move it over here because we know that we've got one to come. So remember, it's out of this book 5. And what I want to do is leave it in there for a little bit longer. Okay, but now the thing that I want to talk about is winning a book. Yes, you do. You want to win a book 5, don't you? So all you have to do is to win it is you like, you share, and then in the comments, gosh, look at this, it's a bit dirty. Oh well. In the comments you write hashtag Symply2good. Remember, it's a Symply with a Y, the number 2, and then I'll pick 3 fantastic winners. Hello, there's my oven beeping at me. That's perfect timing, isn't it? So let's get it out. Oh, my cord. Where is it? Oh, okay, thank you. All right, I'm now going to put the other one in the oven. Oh no, I can't because I'm going to cook this. No, it's cooked, yeah. I'm getting a bit lost here. Too many casserole dishes. I'm going to time that for 1 hour, 15. And that's where you'll come back, remember, and do the gravy mix with the water. So, here's our dish, piping hot, ready to put in my mouth. It's such a great one. I mean, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Oh gosh, check this out, people. Oh yeah. Remember to take the bay leaf out. I can see the bay leaf there. We don't want that. And actually I think there's enough in that. I'm being a bit generous. So there is, oh my gosh, simple beef casserole. It's just hearty. I'd serve it maybe with rice or potato or noodles if you want. But you know what? It's such a low-fat recipe. And you know, check the variations on the recipe for the beef, lamb, chicken and tofu. Now, what am I going to be cooking on Tuesday? Because yes, I'm going to don my apron again, back in for Tuesday, and it's our cooking class. And I'm going to be making Mongolian lamb out of book 3. Now you can go to the website, simply2good.com.au, print the recipe off, get the ingredients and cook it with me because it's home ec time on Tuesdays. And then next Thursday, I'm going to be baking. I'm going to be making a fantastic homey, like it goes back to the olden days. I'm really going back in the days because they are the best. I'm making jam drops and that's out of book 4. So thanks for joining me. I hope you've got how to do the casserole. Enjoy and I'll see you on Tuesday. Stay safe everybody. Sending love. Bye now.